Most people do not fail because they lack talent. They fail because they lack consistency. They pray for success, but quit when it gets uncomfortable. They want the reward without the repetition. They want the crown without carrying the weight. But hear this clearly, your future is not built by what you do once. It is built by what you do every single day when nobody is watching. Consistency is not glamorous. It is not exciting. It is painful. It is boring. It is lonely. But it is the price of greatness. Everybody loves motivation when the fire is fresh. Everybody feels unstoppable on day one. But what separates the chosen from the average is who keeps going on day 10, day 30, day 100, when the feelings are gone. Because success was never about hype. It was always about habits. It was always about discipline. It was always about becoming the kind of person who shows up even when they do not feel like it. Consistency is how dreams become reality. Consistency is how pain becomes power. Consistency is how ordinary people create extraordinary lives. You cannot build a powerful life on temporary feelings. You cannot trust emotions to lead you where purpose is trying to take you. Why? Because emotions are unstable. They rise, they fall, they change with the weather, they change with your circumstances. They change with one bad conversation, one disappointment, one sleepless night, one moment of doubt. And if your commitment changes every time your emotions change, then your future will always remain fragile. Some mornings you wake up ready to conquer the world. You feel focused, driven, hungry. Everything in you says, today is my day. But then there are other mornings. Mornings when your body feels heavy, when your spirit feels tired, when your mind whispers, skip it today. When doubt sits on your chest before your feet even touch the floor. When the dream that once excited you suddenly feels distant, that is the moment discipline must take over. Because the truth is, anybody can work when they feel motivated. Anybody can chase greatness when the energy is high. Anybody can stay committed when life is smooth, when progress is visible, when the praise is coming, when the results are obvious. But the real test of character is what you do when none of that is present. Who are you when the motivation disappears? Who are you when the excitement fades? Who are you when the work becomes repetitive, exhausting, and thankless? That is where discipline separates the serious from the average. Discipline is doing what needs to be done long after the feeling to do it has left. Discipline is not emotional. Discipline is not dramatic. Discipline is quiet. It is routine. It is structure. It is showing up when nobody is clapping. It is continuing when nobody notices. It is choosing purpose over pleasure again and again and again until it becomes part of who you are. Your emotions will lie to you. They will tell you that because you feel tired, you should stop. Because you feel afraid, you should retreat. Because you feel uncertain, you should wait. Because you feel overwhelmed, you should quit. But emotions are not facts. They are temporary signals, not permanent truths. And if you allow every passing feeling to dictate your actions, you will spend your life in circles, starting, stopping, restarting, regretting. Discipline says, I do not care how I feel. I made a commitment. Discipline says the mission matters more than my mood. Discipline says pain is temporary, but regret lasts. Discipline says I will not betray my future because my present feels uncomfortable. Tired? Do it anyway. Unmotivated? Do it anyway. Disappointed? Do it anyway. Rejected? Do it anyway. Heartbroken? Do it anyway. Confused? Do it anyway. Because champions are not created by comfort. They are created by repetition under pressure. Understand this clearly. The days you do not feel like showing up are the days that matter most. Anybody can perform on their best day. Anybody can be disciplined when life is easy. But can you execute when your mind is in chaos? Can you stay focused when your heart is heavy? Can you keep your word to yourself when nobody would blame you for quitting? That is where greatness is forged. The gym when you are exhausted. The study session when your brain is tired. The business work when sales are slow. The prayer when faith feels weak. The discipline when no results are visible. That is where the transformation happens. Not in comfort, not in convenience, but in resistance. Every time you push through emotion and do what must be done anyway, you build mental strength. Every time you refuse to surrender to temporary discomfort, you train your mind to obey your purpose instead of your feelings. And over time, that becomes your identity. You stop being someone who tries. You become someone who finishes. You stop being someone who hopes. You become someone who executes. You stop being someone controlled by mood. You become someone ruled by principle. Most people never reach their potential because they worship comfort. They wait to feel ready. They wait to feel motivated. They wait for the perfect mood, the perfect moment, the perfect mindset. And while they wait, life passes them by. Dreams die in delay. Potential dies in procrastination. Purpose dies in excuses. You do not need to feel ready. You need to move. You do not need perfect confidence. You need commitment. You do not need constant inspiration. You need standards. Set a standard for yourself so high that your emotions no longer get a vote. Make discipline your identity. Become the kind of person who does what they said they would do, regardless of circumstances, regardless of feelings, regardless of convenience. Because when you master discipline, you master yourself. And when you master yourself, the world cannot easily defeat you. There will be days when your mind tells you to stop. There will be nights when the pressure makes you question everything. There will be moments when the wait feels unfair, when the sacrifice feels lonely, when the dream feels impossible. And in those moments, remember this: your feelings are asking for comfort, but your future is demanding discipline. The person you want to become is waiting on the other side of the work you keep avoiding. The confidence you seek is hidden in the promises you keep to yourself. The success you pray for is buried inside the discipline you resist. Stop asking yourself how you feel. Start asking yourself what must be done. Then do that. Again, and again, and again. Because discipline is not punishment. Discipline is self-respect. It is proof that your future matters more to you than your comfort. It is evidence that your goals are bigger than your excuses. It is the decision to honor your calling even when your emotions rebel. And one day when others ask how you became so strong, how you became so focused, how you became so unstoppable, the answer will not be talent. It will not be luck. It will not be motivation. It will be this: you learned to move even when you did not feel like it. You learned to work even when your heart was heavy. You learned to stay committed when comfort was calling your name. You learned that emotions are temporary, but discipline builds destiny. So when your feelings try to stop you tomorrow, when doubt creeps in, when laziness whispers, when fear rises, when pain returns, stand up, lock in, and remind yourself, I do not need to feel ready. I do not need to feel motivated. I do not need perfect circumstances. I have a mission. I have a purpose. I have a standard, and I do it anyway. People overlook the power of small progress because small progress does not look impressive in the moment. It looks ordinary. It looks slow. It looks insignificant. One workout does not transform your body overnight. One page read does not make you wise overnight. One disciplined morning does not build an empire overnight. One prayer does not move every mountain overnight. One sacrifice does not suddenly change your life. And because the result is not immediate, most people quit. They mistake slow progress for no progress. They confuse invisibility with failure. They abandon the process because the reward did not arrive fast enough. But what they fail to understand is this: greatness is never created in one giant moment. It is created in thousands of small moments repeated with discipline. Success is not built in leaps. It is built in layers, brick by brick, step by step, represent by representative, choice by choice. The body is built in repetition. The mind is built in repetition. Character is built in repetition. Faith is built in repetition. Everything valuable in life is built through consistency in small things. One disciplined day may not change your life, but stack enough disciplined days together and your life becomes unrecognizable. One good decision may not seem powerful, but repeated daily, it can rewrite your future. That is the secret. Most people ignore. Massive success is usually the result of microscopic improvements made consistently. One day becomes 1 week. 1 week becomes 1 month. 1 month becomes 1 year. And 1 year of discipline can separate you from everybody who kept making excuses. Imagine where you would be if you committed to getting just 1% better every day. Not perfect, just better. A little stronger, a little wiser, a little more disciplined, a little more focused. That may not look dramatic today, but over time that compounds into transformation. That is how lives change. not through random bursts of motivation, not through occasional effort, but through daily discipline that compounds. The problem is, most people want visible results from invisible work. They want applause before mastery. They want the harvest before the planting. They want the reward before the sacrifice. And when progress is not obvious, they become discouraged. But hear this clearly. Just because you cannot see the growth does not mean growth is not happening. When roots grow beneath the ground, you do not see them. Yet they are preparing the tree to rise. When muscles rebuild after strain, you do not see it instantly, yet strength is forming. When discipline reshapes your character, the transformation begins internally before it appears externally. Some of the most important work in your life will happen in silence, in obscurity, without recognition, without applause, without visible reward. That quiet discipline matters more than public victories, because who you become in private determines what you can handle in public. Never disrespect small beginnings. Never mock your starting point. Never compare your chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 20. Every master was once a beginner. Every champion was once unknown. Every successful person once looked average in the beginning. The mountain is moved one stone at a time. No one lifts the whole mountain at once. No one writes a book in a day. No one builds wealth in a weekend. No one becomes great through one effort. Everything worthwhile is built gradually. The masterpiece is painted one stroke at a time. And if the artist quits after the first stroke because the painting does not yet look complete, the masterpiece never exists. Your life works the same way. Every disciplined act is a stroke on the canvas of your future. Every workout, every prayer, every hour of study, every moment you resist distraction, every time you choose discipline over comfort, you are painting the future you claim to want. Do not let impatience sabotage your destiny. Do not quit because the results are taking time. Time will pass anyway. The real question is, what will you build while it passes? A year from now will come whether you stay disciplined or not. A year from now, you can either be stronger, wiser, healthier, richer, more focused, or still making the same excuses. Still complaining, still wishing, still wondering why nothing changed. The difference between those two futures is what you choose to do today, not tomorrow. Not next week, today. Because success is not hidden in huge dramatic moments. It is hidden in ordinary daily decisions. The alarm clock you obey, the temptation you resist, the extra hour you invest, the task you finish when nobody is watching, the discipline you maintain when no reward is immediate. Those little moments, they are not little. They are everything. People will one day look at your life and call you lucky. They will see the results and admire the success. They will notice the strength, the confidence, the discipline, the progress. But they will not see the thousands of quiet choices that built it. They will not see the mornings you showed up tired, the nights you stayed committed when quitting felt easier, the sacrifices nobody knew about, the consistency nobody celebrated. That is how greatness is built, in silence, in patience, in repetition. So if your progress feels slow right now, good. That means you are in the process. If nobody notices your grind, good. That means you are building in private. If the results are not visible yet, good. That means the foundation is still being laid. Trust the process. Trust the repetition. Trust the daily work. Keep stacking. Keep building. Keep showing up. Because one day the things that looked small will produce results too large to ignore. One day your discipline will become confidence. One day your effort will become opportunity. One day your consistency will become mastery. One day your sacrifices will become success. And when that day comes, people will think it happened suddenly. But you will know the truth. It was built in the mornings no one saw. It was built in the nights no one praised. It was built in the tiny decisions repeated over and over again. It was built in the moments when quitting was easy but you chose to continue. Never underestimate the power of daily discipline. Never underestimate what one focused year can do. Never underestimate how much your life can change if you simply refuse to stop. You do not need giant progress today. You need movement. You need consistency. You need faith in the process. Take the step. Read the page. Lift the weight. Make the call. Write the plan. Do the work. Handle today. Then do it again tomorrow. Because the people who win in life are rarely the people who moved fastest. They are the people who refuse to stop moving. So when the progress feels small, when the effort feels unnoticed, when the journey feels long, remember this: small actions are not small when repeated every day. They are the foundation of greatness. They are the architecture of destiny. They are how ordinary people build extraordinary lives. So keep stacking, keep building, keep showing up. Your future is being created in the quiet moments nobody applauds. You cannot stay consistent and stay comfortable. That is the truth most people spend their lives trying to avoid. They want growth without pain. They want discipline without discomfort. They want success without sacrifice. They want transformation while holding on to every habit, every excuse, every comfort zone that kept them average in the first place. But life does not work that way. To become more, you must give up more. To rise higher, something heavier must be left behind. You cannot carry your old self into your new life. One of them has to die. Either your comfort dies or your dream dies. Either your excuses die or your potential dies. Either your distractions die or your destiny dies. Because every level of greatness demands a price, and the price is sacrifice. Discipline will demand things from you. It will demand your comfort. It will demand your convenience. It will demand your excuses. It will demand your distractions. It will demand your bad habits. It will demand the weaker version of yourself. And many people walk away at that moment, not because they do not want success, but because they do not want to pay for it. They love the idea of greatness. They love the image of winning. They love the thought of becoming exceptional. But when the cost becomes real, they retreat. Because sacrifice is not glamorous. It is not motivational quotes and highlight reels. It is saying no when everyone else says yes. It is going home when others keep partying. It is waking up while the world sleeps. It is working while others relax. It is choosing long-term purpose over short-term pleasure again and again until discipline becomes identity. Late nights, early mornings, lonely seasons, missed parties, hard decisions, uncomfortable growth. That is the hidden cost of becoming great. You will lose some things on this journey. You will lose comfort. You will lose convenience. You may lose relationships that only survive because you stayed small. You may lose habits that once felt normal. You may lose the approval of people who liked the version of you that lacked ambition. Because growth changes you, and not everybody will celebrate that change. Some people will call you obsessed. Some will call you distant. Some will say you have changed. And they will be right. You have changed. You had to. Because the version of you that wants greatness cannot keep living like the version of you that accepts mediocrity. Understand this. Every level of success requires a stronger version of you. New blessings require new discipline. New opportunities require new maturity. New levels require new standards. The person you are today cannot always handle the life you say you want tomorrow. That future version of you must be forged, built, sharpened, refined. And refinement is painful. Pressure creates diamonds. Fire purifies gold. Resistance builds muscle. And sacrifice builds character. The struggle you hate may be creating the strength you need. The discomfort you resist may be preparing you for the life you prayed for. The sacrifices you are making today may be shaping the person your future requires. Too many people pray for elevation but resist preparation. They ask for more responsibility while avoiding discipline. They ask for success while clinging to comfort. They ask for greatness while living casually. You cannot pray for a life your habits are not prepared to sustain. If you want uncommon results, you must be willing to make uncommon sacrifices. That means doing what others will not do, giving up what others will not give up, choosing discipline when others choose ease, choosing growth when others choose comfort, choosing the hard path because you know easy roads rarely lead anywhere meaningful. And yes, sacrifice will hurt. There will be moments when you question if it is worth it, moments when loneliness creeps in, moments when you watch others enjoying temporary pleasures while you stay committed to the process, moments when your discipline feels isolating, moments when your sacrifices seem invisible. But hear this clearly. Temporary sacrifice creates permanent reward. Temporary discipline creates lasting freedom. Temporary discomfort creates future strength. Most people choose comfort now and pay with regret later. The disciplined choose sacrifice now and live with fulfillment later. Choose your pain. The pain of discipline or the pain of regret. The pain of sacrifice or the pain of staying the same. The pain of growth or the pain of never becoming who you could have been. One pain builds you, the other breaks you. There is no greatness without cost. There is no victory without battle. There is no transformation without surrendering who you used to be. You must be willing to outgrow the habits, environments, and mindsets that no longer serve your purpose. You must be willing to become unfamiliar to people who only knew the undisciplined version of you. You must be willing to walk alone if necessary. Because sometimes isolation is part of elevation. The climb to greatness is not crowded. Many talk about wanting more, but few are willing to sacrifice for it. So if the path feels lonely, good. That means you are on a road many are unwilling to travel. If the discipline feels heavy, good. That means you are carrying what average people refuse to carry. If the sacrifice feels painful, good. That means you are paying the price others avoid. And understand this: nothing you sacrifice for your purpose is ever truly lost. It is exchanged. You exchange comfort for growth. You exchange distraction for focus. You exchange temporary pleasure for long-term fulfillment. You exchange your old self for your higher self. Every sacrifice is an investment. Every disciplined choice is a deposit into your future. Every uncomfortable moment is building the foundation for the life you claim you want. So stop mourning what discipline requires you to leave behind. Stop grieving comfort. Stop missing the habits that kept you stagnant. Stop romanticizing the version of you that lacked standards. That old life had to go. That weaker mindset had to die. That comfortable version of you could not carry the weight of your future. You are being rebuilt. And rebuilding always requires demolition first. So when sacrifice hurts, remember why you started. When discipline feels lonely, remember what you are becoming. When the price feels high, remember the cost of staying average is higher. Because one day the sacrifices that feel painful now will become the reason your life looks different later. One day you will thank yourself for the nights you stayed disciplined, for the mornings you got up early, for the temptations you resisted, for the comfort you gave up, for the choices nobody understood. Because those sacrifices will shape you into someone stronger, sharper, wiser, more disciplined, more prepared, more dangerous to mediocrity. So embrace the sacrifice. Respect the discomfort. Honor the process. Because every level of success requires a version of you stronger than the current one. And that version, the disciplined, focused, powerful version of you, is not born in comfort. It is built through sacrifice. There will be seasons in your life when you give everything you have and it feels like nothing is happening. You work, you sacrifice, you stay disciplined, you remain consistent, and still nothing changes. No reward, no recognition, no open doors, no visible progress, no breakthrough. Just effort, just silence, just struggle. And those are the moments that break most people. Not because the work was too hard, but because they could not handle doing the work without seeing immediate results. That is where faith becomes your fuel. Because when evidence is missing, when results are delayed, when progress is invisible, faith is what keeps you moving. Faith says, I may not see it yet, but something is happening. Faith says, my effort is not wasted just because the reward is delayed. Faith says, the process is still working, even if I cannot measure it today. Anybody can stay committed when results are obvious. Anybody can believe when the blessings are visible. Anybody can keep pushing when the reward comes quickly. But can you stay disciplined when heaven is silent? Can you stay faithful when life gives you no evidence? Can you keep planting when the field looks empty? That is real faith. Faith is not blind optimism. Faith is disciplined belief in the middle of uncertainty. It is the decision to trust the process before the process rewards you. It is believing the seed is growing while the ground still looks empty. A farmer does not plant a seed and dig it up every day to check if it is working. He trusts the process. He waters what he cannot yet see. He protects what has not yet appeared. He stays patient through invisible growth. Why? Because he understands something powerful. The seed does not stop growing just because it has not broken through the surface yet. And neither have you. Some of your greatest growth is happening beneath the surface right now, in places nobody can see, in ways you cannot yet measure. Your discipline is building strength. Your struggle is building endurance. Your patience is building character. Your silence is building maturity. What feels like delay may actually be development. Sometimes the blessing is not delayed because you are forgotten. Sometimes it is delayed because you are being prepared. Because if success arrived too early, you might not be strong enough to carry it. If the breakthrough came before the preparation, it could destroy the person you are still becoming. So what you call delay may actually be protection. What you call silence may actually be preparation. What you call stagnation may actually be unseen progress. Do not judge your future based only on what you can currently see. Some victories are being built behind the scenes. Some doors are opening where you cannot yet look. Some blessings are forming in places your eyes have not reached. Some prayers are being answered in ways you do not yet understand. The most dangerous mistake you can make is quitting during invisible progress. Too many people stop right before the breakthrough. They walk away because they assumed nothing was happening. They abandon the process because the reward was not immediate. They surrender in the silent season without realizing the roots were still growing underground. Never mistake silence for absence. Never mistake delay for denial. Never mistake invisible progress for failure. Just because it has not happened yet does not mean it is not coming. Faith is what tells you to keep showing up when your emotions want to quit. Faith is what tells you to keep praying when the answer has not arrived. Faith is what tells you to keep building when the results are nowhere in sight. Faith is what tells you to remain disciplined when everybody else would give up. Because faith understands timing. Faith understands seasons. Faith understands that some things take longer because they are greater than what you imagined. There are blessings that cannot be rushed. There are breakthroughs that require preparation. There are miracles that are being shaped in silence because timing matters. Do not rush what is still being built. The tree that grows the tallest often spends the longest developing roots. Why? Because the higher the future growth, the deeper the foundation must be. And maybe that is what this season is for. Maybe while you are frustrated by the silence, your foundation is being strengthened. Maybe while you are demanding visible results, your character is being refined. Maybe while you are asking why it is taking so long, life is building the version of you capable of handling what is coming. So stay faithful in the unseen season. Stay disciplined in the quiet season. Stay committed in the hidden season, because the hidden season matters. It is where roots deepen. It is where identity strengthens. It is where resilience is born. It is where real belief is tested. Anyone can talk faith when life is good. Real faith is revealed in struggle. Real faith is proven in delay. Real faith is forged when you keep obeying the process without visible reward. And understand this clearly, your consistency is never wasted. Every disciplined day matters. Every unseen effort matters. Every prayer matters. Every sacrifice matters. Every act of faith matters. Nothing done with purpose is wasted. Nothing done in discipline disappears. Nothing planted in faith returns empty forever. The harvest may take time, but time does not mean failure. Delay does not mean defeat. Silence does not mean abandonment. Sometimes the greatest victories take the longest to arrive because they require the deepest preparation. So if you are in a season right now where you are doing everything right and still seeing nothing, do not quit. If you are grinding in silence, do not quit. If you are praying with no answer yet, do not quit. If you are building with no recognition, do not quit. If the progress feels invisible, do not quit. Because one day what was hidden will become visible. What was planted will rise. What was delayed will arrive. What was silent will speak. And when the breakthrough finally comes, people will think it happened overnight. They will see the blessing but never understand the silent years that built it. They will celebrate the victory but never know the faith it took to keep going when nothing made sense. But you will know. You will know what it took to keep believing in darkness, to keep moving in silence, to keep building with empty hands, to keep trusting when the evidence was missing. And that faith, that unwavering belief in the unseen will become part of your strength forever. So plant, pray, work, wait, trust, repeat, and remind yourself every day, my consistency is not wasted. My effort is not unseen. My discipline is not pointless. My faith is not foolish. Something is growing even if I cannot see it yet. The greatest form of self-respect is not confidence. It is not pride. It is not talking big. It is not posting quotes about discipline. The greatest form of self-respect is keeping promises to yourself. Because your relationship with yourself is built the same way every relationship is built, through trust. And trust is not created by what you say. It is created by what you repeatedly do. Every time you tell yourself, "I'll wake up early tomorrow," and then hit snooze, you break trust. Every time you say, "I'll start next week," and postpone again, you break trust. Every time you promise yourself, "I'm done with excuses," but return to old habits, you break trust. And little by little, your mind starts learning something dangerous. Your word means nothing. That is how self-respect erodes. Not in one dramatic failure, but in small betrayals repeated daily. Because every time you break your word to yourself, you weaken your identity. You teach your mind that your commitments are optional. You train yourself to believe that your discipline is temporary. You condition your spirit to expect inconsistency. Then one day you wonder why your confidence is low, why your self-belief is weak, why your goals feel impossible. It is because deep down, you no longer trust yourself. You have made too many promises you did not keep. But the good news is this trust can be rebuilt. Every time you keep your word to yourself, you repair something inside. Every time you follow through, you strengthen your identity. Every time you honor your commitment, you remind your soul, "I am someone who does what I say." That is power, real power. When you say you will wake up early, do it. When you say you will train, do it. When you say you will study, do it. When you say you will build your dream, do it. When you say you will stop making excuses, prove it. Not because anybody is watching, not for applause, not for validation, but because your word to yourself matters. Too many people demand respect from the world while disrespecting themselves in private. They want confidence without keeping commitments. They want self-belief without self-discipline. They want to feel powerful while living in contradiction. That is impossible. Confidence is not built by affirmations alone. Confidence is built by evidence. Evidence that you can trust yourself. Evidence that when things get hard, you do not run. Evidence that when you commit, you follow through. Evidence that your actions align with your words. That is where real confidence comes from, self-trust. And once you become someone who trusts themselves, you become dangerous, because now hesitation disappears. Now doubt loses power. Now excuses stop working. Why? Because your mind has seen proof. Proof that when you commit, you execute. Proof that when you decide, you act. Proof that your standards are real. At that point, discipline is no longer something you try to do. It becomes who you are. You become the kind of person who no longer debates with laziness, who no longer negotiates with excuses, who no longer waits for motivation. Because your identity has changed. You are now someone who keeps their word, and identity is everything. People focus too much on goals and not enough on identity. But goals do not change lives, identity does. Because once you believe, "I am disciplined," your behavior changes. Once you believe, "I finish what I start," your habits change. Once you believe, "I keep promises to myself," your standards rise. The strongest people in this world are not always the smartest, not always the most talented, not always the most gifted. Often they are simply the ones who trust themselves completely. Because when challenges come, they do not panic. They know they will respond. When setbacks happen, they do not collapse. They know they will adapt. When obstacles appear, they do not doubt. They know they will endure. Why? Because they have built internal proof through years of honoring their own word. That is the foundation of mental toughness. If you want to become unstoppable, stop focusing only on big achievements. Start mastering small promises. Wake up when you said you would. Finish what you planned to finish. Do the workout you promised yourself. Read the chapter. Make the call. Keep the routine. Honor the commitment. Not because each act is life-changing by itself, but because every kept promise is a vote for the person you are becoming. Every time you follow through, you cast another vote for discipline, another vote for self-respect, another vote for strength, another vote for the identity you want. And over time, those votes become your character. One day, you stop hoping you will change. You know you have changed. Because now your mind knows. When I say I'm going to do something, it gets done. No excuses, no delays, no emotional negotiation, no surrender. That kind of self-trust creates a rare kind of power. It makes you calm under pressure, focused under stress, disciplined in chaos, reliable in adversity. Because your greatest source of confidence is no longer external praise. It is internal certainty. Certainty that you can depend on yourself. And once a person reaches that level, they become difficult to stop. Not because life gets easier, but because their mind gets stronger. There will still be hard days. There will still be setbacks. There will still be moments of doubt. But now those moments no longer control you, because you trust your response. You trust your discipline. You trust your standards. You trust the person you have built. So if you want to transform your life, start here. Stop lying to yourself. Stop making promises your habits do not support. Stop speaking goals you are unwilling to honor. Stop pretending commitment while entertaining excuses. Make fewer promises and keep every one of them. Even if you start small, especially if you start small. Because discipline is not built in giant heroic moments. It is built in tiny daily acts of integrity. The alarm clock, the morning routine, the workout, the study session, the extra effort, the disciplined choice no one sees. That is where self-trust is forged. And one day, those tiny acts will build a giant truth inside you. I trust myself, not because life told you to, not because others praised you, but because you earned it. You became the person who never breaks their word to themselves. And that person, that disciplined, trustworthy, self-respecting version of you, they are unstoppable. Because once your mind believes your word is law, everything changes. You move differently, think differently, carry yourself differently, perform differently. Because now you are no longer trying to become disciplined. You are disciplined. No excuses, no delays, no surrender, just action, just standards, just execution. And that is how ordinary people become extraordinary.